Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I think then whether I'm doing a YouTube or a Patreon video, but no, you're definitely YouTube is what I plan to put you on. I hope you're all doing really well. So I thought I'd just come up with a little video because I feel like we haven't caught up in quite a while. And also I thought I'd try and make it a bit of an educational video as well. So I thought I would literally come on here and give you a little update as to what's going on at the moment, and also give you some info as to if any of you are interested in drawing like a bay horse, like what sort of colours to use and things like that, because I'm not gonna lie to you, this piece is quite difficult because he's quite, well, hang on, let me start from the beginning. This horse, his name is Dino. He is, I think he's just turned 25, or he's going to be 25 this year. He has been, I think he was commissioned about, I want to say about a year ago. It was probably about a year ago now, yeah. Just under a year ago, and I've been really excited to draw him. But he is quite challenging just because of the amount of colours that go into a bay horse's coat. Obviously, as I've sort of spoken to you guys about before, white is never white, black is never black, brown is never brown, etc, etc. But I think brown is definitely one of the most challenging colours to draw when you're talking about animal portraiture and things like that, because there just are so many colours that go into a portrait like this, and I think a lot of people sort of don't, be really noisy, don't really appreciate how many colours actually go into something like this. So I thought I'd just come up with a little video as sort of explaining my choice of colour process, well, my choice of colours, why I like do what I do, etc, etc. So starting off, I mean, if I just give you a little bit of a run through of the pencils that I'm using, so for those of you who don't know already, I'm using the mainly Polychromos by Faber-Castell. They are like my go-to pencil, I absolutely love them. I'm also using some Luminance by Caran d'Ache, and the odd Caran d'Ache Pablo here and there, and the colour I'm using, my go-to colour from the Pablos is like this brownish beige colour here. So I'm kind of like jumping around this portrait a little bit, and it's something that I don't really want to do. I would like to try and focus on one area at sort of the same time, but I'm finding it quite difficult to be able to do that. So I thought if I kind of start filming, then maybe it like settle me down a little bit into one area, but that's it, probably not. But anyway, so what you're seeing me doing right now is just establishing some base layers. So I'm looking at my reference photo, which I'm using on my iPad, and then working out roughly what colours to be using underneath sort of like the drawing, if that makes sense. So obviously this is the drawing, but you know what I mean, like base layers are sort of like the underneath drawing of the actual drawing. So I tend to use like 2 to 3 base layers and then go in my sort of like final detail layer. So I'm using, oh yeah, and that's the other thing, I forgot to mention that I am using 1 or 2 pencils from the Derwent Lightfast range. Apart from that, I think that's pretty much it. The paper that I'm using is the Fabriano Artistico Hot Press watercolour paper. Nothing new there, and yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the tools that you'll see me using, apart from my Tombow mono eraser, and obviously just a putty eraser, not a putty eraser, pencil extenders, and just a fluffy brush to do stuff like that with. Okay, so essentially what I try and do when I'm drawing a brown horse is, I think brown has got, I mean, if I was just to draw a brown, like, I'm not making any sense. Let me start again. Right, okay, so when I try and draw a brown horse or a bay horse or anything like that, it's really important to notice the contours in sort of like the areas of the face. So you're going to have shadowy areas, you're going to have lighter areas, you're going to have a changing of colours between like the grey area to a brown area. Some are going to be lighter, some are going to be light grey, some are going to be dark grey, some are going to look like they've got blue on them, some are going to look like they've got purple on them. Like this horse has got so many colours. He's got orange, he's got pink, he's got purple, he's got blue. I mean, have you ever heard of a pink, purple and blue horse? No, probably not, but those are the colours that go into a portrait like this. They're not obviously the most vivid blues, purples and pinks, but they definitely go into the portrait. And it's one of the things that, you know, it's really important to learn about what colours to use. Now, I have made a video about how I kind of pick the colours for my portrait work, and I will link that below. You know, I kind of just use like a colour grid. But anyway, so what I essentially do is build up the layers very slowly. So you'll see me use Ivory by the Polychromos to build up the base layers on the bottom here, and then you'll probably see me for this bit go in with I think this is Burnt Sienna 10%, yeah, Burnt Sienna 10% by the Luminance. I would sometimes use Light Flesh by the Polychromos, but I prefer this kind of pinky colourful. It's a bit of a duller grey-y kind of pink rather than like a brighter, lighter pink. I don't know, I'm not very good at explaining stuff like this, but I need to try and swap over my pencil extenders here because I've only got 2 and I need to go and get some more. Okay, so I need to rub out these graphite lines. It's really important that you rub out graphite lines when you're drawing, especially if you're drawing like a light area, because they will show through, and that's not a good thing unless that's the look you're going for. In that case, you do you, but it's not the look that I'm going for, so I'm not going to do that. So I am just putting in warm grey right now, because it's sort of like the colour that I can see a hint of, and obviously it's a light colour. So when I'm working with colour pencils, I work from light to dark always. So establishing where the highlights are and then working backwards and looking for my sort of darker areas next. So I'm using again the Burnt Sienna 10% to create sort of like the correct tone base layer. So obviously I've gone in with Ivory, but that's yellow, and even though I'm using it as a base layer, the horse isn't really that yellow. I can see sort of a tone, like a hint of yellow, but it's more like a peachy colour. And then I'm going to go in with the Sienna from the Derwent Lightfast. And it's really important when you're doing anything like this to try and draw in the direction of the fur, the way that you see, you know, I mean, draw like direction of the fur, the way the fur is heading, and also pay attention to the length of the strokes. It's really important that you don't draw fur or hair, or like the hair on a horse. Like Dino's got really short fur, so I'm using sort of very short strokes to build up the layers. I mean, it's not really crucial that you do this, to be honest, because you can create a lot of contour without even putting any strokes in, but you can give the indication of fur. I mean, I always draw in strokes. Sometimes they all blend together and don't really look like strokes toward the end, but I always draw like this with lots of little strokes, and then it's a really good way of just gently building up the colour. So you're going to use Cinnamon from the Polychromos because it's a sort of slightly darker pink, and this is a slightly darker pink area. So it's really important that you get a paper that can take a lot of layers. Like this watercolour paper I use can take a lot of layers. I don't press massively heavy on it, but it can definitely take a fair few layers. So I now need to kind of establish where some more pinky areas are, I guess. Yeah, thumbs up to me for doing a tutorial video on YouTube. Hey, actually guys, like if you do appreciate this video, please can you give it a thumbs up. It really does help my channel out, and it makes me feel a lot less awkward doing stuff like this, because I really don't enjoy, well, I wouldn't say I don't enjoy it, I find it really difficult to try and talk through what I'm doing whilst actually drawing sometimes. I think I need to move you up. Okay, I think you're in a better angle now. Right, this is looking a little bit too harsh. I need to try and blend this out. So I'm using, I think you need to also be aware, depending on what pencils you're using, different pencils have different properties. So I find that the Derwent Lightfast are super smooth, super buttery, super blendable. The Luminance are also really blendable, really lovely. The Pablos, not so much. The Polychromos, definitely not that buttery, but super highly pigmented. So you need to really work out and get a feel for the pencils that you're using and see whether, just work out like what blends well together, what pencils layer on top of each other the best, etc, etc. If you've got a preference, if you don't have a preference, that's absolutely fine. You do you. Right, I'm not very good at trying to work out what colours to use next, so I'm just going to go back in with this burnt sienna. All else fails, go with another base layer until you kind of establish what colours to use on top. I think it's my sort of fail-safe method. And also try and blend that as you go. I don't like any harsh lines to be in my portrait work. I find it really not okay. Anyway, how are you guys doing? I feel like I haven't spoken to you in a long time. I haven't done like a real-time draw with me properly in about 2 weeks. Not that anything has really changed, because obviously lockdown, nothing is really changing at all, but why are you going in and out of focus? Why? I'm having real problems with the focus on this camera, but that's nothing new, let's face it, is it? This camera doesn't like me that much. Right, so coming back to what I was doing, saying whatever, which I can't really remember what I was saying or doing. Yeah, how are you all? I feel like it's been a long time. Nothing's really changed. We are still in lockdown. However, hopefully that will all be changing in the next, I want to say, week, 2 weeks. Well, within the next week, hopefully businesses in the UK will begin to open again. Things will start going back to normal a little bit. So yeah, nothing has happened. I obviously finished the hour I was working on, and the prints are available on the website if anyone's interested in going and checking them out. I'll link them below. But yeah, it's been quite a popular piece, which is great, and I don't think anything has really massively happened / changed / I need to swap over the pencil. No, I don't. I've already got it here. Yeah, I feel like nothing's really changed. Just trying to get on with my workload. Commissions are mega busy at the moment, which is great. But almost leaves me very little time to do anything else, like any original work. But yeah, so right, I've just created my base layers. Base layers are so important to keep the layers. You need to keep everything smooth. It's really important to smooth out the tooth of the paper as best you can. So I do that with obviously base layers, and I'm just going in with burnt sienna 10% by the Luminance. And then it's really important that I don't get lost in this bit, because I've kind of lost where my darker areas are meant to be, so I only had to try and pop them back in very quickly. I'm just going to use no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm just going to use burnt sienna, I think, and so try and establish where these areas are. Kind of goes up like this a little bit, comes down. Right, and now I've kind of now I can go back in with my use light flesh here, which as I said, it's sort of like a peachier kind of pink colour to the burnt sienna, and it works better in some areas than others. I need to put a slightly darker cold grey. I've been using cold greys around this eye area because he's got quite a grey area around his eye. So I'm using cold greys, and I've been using as well some sepia 10% from the Luminance and sepia 50% as well. They are brilliant, really nice colours. And they give sort of like a purpley undertone, which is again where I'm coming back to when I talk about sort of like base colours and pinks, purples and blues being in this portrait. I don't actually mean I've been putting in solid pinks, purple and blues. I've just been using sort of flesh colours, sepias which have got like a purpley undertone, and Payne's grey, cold grey, which has got like a blue undertone. So I'm just going to go back in with some, this is the sienna colour, no it's not, yeah it is the sienna colour from the Luminance, and sort of just build it up. And you'll probably notice that the way I just blend out, I sort of do a layer and then blend out with another layer, do another layer, blend out with another layer, and it takes a long time, but it's sort of like, that's just the way I work. I need to start bringing down some, I've just picked up sepia. I have been working on quite a lot of Patreon content, for any of you who is interested in sort of seeing some real in-depth, long videos of how I work and sort of really breaking it down. They are over on Patreon. But I just thought I'd come on here and give you sort of like a rough idea of how I create bay horses, because they're kind of built up with pinks, purples and blues. Yeah, you sepia. One of the things that when you're drawing a brown horse, depending on the way that light hits it, it seems to look a little bit sort of purpley. So I'm just using like sepia over the top to blend out this sort of area. And then using some sienna for light fast to go back in and blend out any harshness. I've been having real editing wars with my Mac recently as well. We're not friends at the moment. I recorded a whole video of how I created this for Patreon yesterday, and I imported to the Mac and lost half the footage after like 5 hours. So yeah, me and my Mac aren't friends, so I'm looking at getting some upgraded software or something to put on it so that doesn't happen anymore, so it's got bigger storage. But it's so expensive. I'm trying to think what else has happened. I don't think anything really has happened. Yeah, anyway, I'm blending out with this is sienna. This is not sienna, sepia. And then going in with some, I just work backwards and forwards between sort of 2 or 3 different colours, like building up layers, blend it out, building it up, blend it out. It's not the way that everyone works, it's quite a slow way of working, but it's the way that is most effective for me and allows me to go in without going like too heavy too quickly. And then after I sort of get the colour that I'm kind of happy with, and I'm using this is, I believe you call it Caput Mortem, and it's by the Polychroma. I always say the Lumen is the Polychroma, so it's like it's a band or something. It's definitely not a band, they are a brand of pencils. It's like, yeah, in the Polychromos range, let's just put it that way. I just use like the lightest pressure when building layers, because I just want to give like an indication, or almost like glazing. You're kind of like glazing. If you imagine your oil painter, you're glazing right now. Or like an ice skater, you're like figure, like just gliding over the surface. Then I think I'm going to use some sienna, burnt sienna from the Polychromos. Now, I said it on my Patreon video yesterday, but this is absolutely one of my favourite colours ever. I don't even know why, but if you've got a favourite colour pencil, let me know in the comments below. Whether it's from the Luminance range, even Prismacolor. Like, I don't use Prismacolor, but yeah, Polychromos. Like, what is your go-to favourite colour? If you could only have one colour or 2 colours, what would they be? I can't really ask that, can I? It's not really fair because you kind of need them all. But you know what I mean. My go-to colours would definitely be burnt sienna and dark sepia. Right, so I'm just putting down a base layer of ivory. Then I think I'm just going to go straight in with cinnamon, because it kind of gets a bit darker over in this corner here. So I'm just using like a medium pressure. When that's probably important to mention now. When I draw base layers, I kind of follow the direction of the fur, but I don't think it's absolutely essential. I'm just gonna grab some of this this is warm grey, sorry. And ivory. And then some cinnamon. I think I use a bit like a heavier pressure with the base layer, then I go in over with sort of a lighter pressure with the sort of second, almost like you're kind of toning it. If you imagine, if you know anything about dyeing your hair, and say you're in a salon and you got your hair bleached and your colour stylist left the bleach on for like half an hour and then went and washed it out, and it would be like a yellowy colour. It's not the colour you want, so you just put the toner on it, and then after that, or like 2 toners, or you know, several different toners to bring the colour up. Exactly the same, you put a base layer down, it's not exactly the colour you want, but you kind of tone it and make it work for you with the colour on top. Base layers are really important though to smooth out the tooth of the paper. So, I mean, can we just mention the fact that I am probably about 20 minutes into this video and have not used a single brown pencil as of yet. This colour, like, it's pink. It's like a bluey colour, it's yellow. Thought that would be quite interesting. Just realised. Got sepia. I'm going to use some more cinnamon. Also, if your base layers are looking a little bit like, if you're having to put too much pressure down, you're not really getting a lot of like bang for your buck, sharpen your pencil. Okay, right, I'm picking up burnt sienna again, and again following the direction of the fur. sometimes I feel like it needs to be a little bit more pink, or like a darker kind of pink. So I'm just using a Caput Mortem again, and just very, very lightly, because this is quite a intense colour. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, if you don't feel like you're getting a lot of like bang for your buck with your base layers, sharpen your pencil, just sharpen this one, and it's coming a lot through, like a lot more pigmented. I don't know why it makes such a difference, but it definitely, to me, it makes a difference anyway. Yeah, so I'm just using cinnamon to build up some more layers. Oh, I'm dropping my mouse. Right, this bit it's got like a darker kind of area here, which again is what I was trying to like map out before. I think I'm gonna tackle that by going straight in with. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm gonna use a medium, light pressure with light Vere, and then I think I'm going to a flesh colour, light flesh. That's such a weird thing. Flesh is definitely not a favourite word of mine. Okay. Now I'm using burnt sienna now to try and work out where this dark area is. So I'm just using very light pressure to build it up, and I think this will be the time when you see me go in with some brown for the first time. But first I need to use some sepia and sort of like blend it out as I'm going, otherwise it's not going to look anywhere right at all. I'm using cinnamon also to blend it out. When you have put enough base layer down, it becomes quite easy to almost glaze over it with different colours. And it's really, really important to mention that all pieces of art or anything you're drawing will go through an ugly phase. Like a phase where it just doesn't look right. Like this is definitely an ugly phase. Definitely doesn't look right. But hopefully it will come through and all come together towards the end. Right, so I've just picked up sepia, I think this is sepia 50. Oh, hang on, you just see me use brown. This is walnut brown. Caput Mortem. I just felt like I'm just telling you what colours I'm using, really. But yeah, this is sort of like a purpley reddy colour. It's a very nice colour. I really like that colour. And then I'm just going to use some cinnamon to blend out this bit. isn't ideal. Right. It's got caput mortem, which I feel like I need to use to blend some of this harshness out, because I feel like it's quite harsh. And then some burnt sienna back over on this bit here. Put down some ivory and also some cinnamon. Bay horses are like I think they are probably one of the hardest things to draw colour wise, because just the colours don't really make sense that you use. Like, I'm just got caput mortem and I don't know, just, I mean, it does all come together in the end, but I guess it just seems really weird. So I've got cinnamon again, and I'm gonna use some sepia here as well. So he's got like a slightly grayer sort of like temple area. Is this even the temple area? Do horses have temples? I don't know. Yeah, right, okay. So now I feel like I'm gonna use some, oh, do I want to be that brave? I don't think I do. I don't think I'm ready for that sort of commitment yet. Yeah, go back in with sepia first. Build up some feelings of confidence with the sepia. Also, I think I just might use some warm grey here as well. So yeah, he's got quite sort of like a grey sepia kind of area. It's going with sort of like a darker sepia colour, so it's sepia 50. I have to like blend it out so much, stop it looking like harsh. I don't like it when it's harsh, right? Let's sharpen this pencil. It's not very sharp, is it? Like that. It's not ideal. It will do. I've just picked up sienna by Derwent. The Derwent Lightfast range. Cinnamon. I don't feel like I've got anything really new to say, to be honest. I think this takes me so much of my concentration to get the colours right and to get it to look blended and as together as it needs to be. Like, it kind of zaps all my concentration, something like this. I found it really, really hard to film the video that I did for Patreon yesterday, which as I said, I had like loads of technical problems with it, but hopefully I'll get that sorted and it'll go live in the next day or so. Right, I'm just using burnt sienna, just sort of burnish over the top a little bit. Don't normally burnish like that, but needs must. And now I'm just using sepia. No, sienna from Light Past. Right, and then I think I'm going to go in quite hard with the sienna, burnt sienna from my Polychromos pencils. And then I'm going to blend them out with some sepia. And as I said, it starts becoming a lot more seamless after you put a couple of layers of pencil down. It starts becoming a little bit easier to blend and things like that. So I'm just going with a slightly darker sepia 50 from the Luminance range. And then I'm going to go in with brown. This is burnt umber. Just committing. Using cinnamon, just blend this bit out and then start blending this area out as well. Just need to put in some sepia here, and also what I might do just to darken this area up is I'm just going to put in some burnt umber from the Polychromos. This is sort of like putting a bit of an indication of where the fur direction goes, so this bit is really, really important to pay attention to the direction of the fur. Get some cinnamon. And then I'm just going to go backwards and forwards and blend it all out. So I'm using the Caput Mortem here. Some burnt sienna. So hopefully you can kind of see a little bit what I mean when I say that it's got almost like grey, purples, blues, pinks, lots and lots and lots of colours that go into these portraits to make them look, you know, as realistic as I can possibly make them. They're not always the easiest, but they are definitely worth it if you take the time and build up the layers and get them to look as, you know, get your rendering as smooth as possible. Things like that, it can definitely be a game changer. So I think that's probably where I'm going to finish this video, because I feel like once I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, and I'm gonna yeah, I haven't really got that much to update you guys on, so I think I'm just gonna call it a day here and carry on. I've got quite a fair bit more work to do, so I think I'm just gonna carry on for a bit for now, but I will if you, obviously it's a little shameless plug here, but if you would like to see sort of more in-depth videos, feel free to come over to Patreon and give me a follow. Is it follow? I don't know, do you follow people on Patreon? Join my Patreon club. Yeah, so apart from that, I hope you're all doing really well, and I will see you guys in my next video, but for now, lots of love, bye.